Hey there. We literally spend hours on our phones every single day, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder how your voice actually travels? I mean, how does it leap from your mouth to someone else's ear kilometers away in just mere seconds? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to be demystifying mobile networks and tracing the absolute magical journey of a single voice packet. Let's get right into it.
So, you know those tall, kind of imposing mobile towers you see standing in the middle of our cities? What exactly is happening invisibly in the air around them? How on earth do these towers make sure our voice is carried flawlessly across the globe? And on the flip side, why is it that the absolute second we step into an elevator or an underground tunnel, that invisible connection just vanishes?
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll start with the magical journey of voice, then deconstruct cellular networks and towers. After that, we'll look at your SIM card's secret checking, demystify signals and call drops, and finally, explore the web of networks and fibers.
All right, Section 1, the magical journey of voice. Let's do a super quick sweep through history. Back in the day, talking to someone far away meant writing a letter. Then came the telegraph, and eventually the landline telephone, where voices traveled through actual physical copper wires. But there was a major catch, right? We were tied down. No wire meant no phone. That whole paradigm completely flipped when scientists like James Clerk Maxwell theorized electromagnetic waves. Then Heinrich Hertz proved they could travel through the air, and Guglielmo Marconi actually made wireless communication practical. They realized we could send invisible signals through thin air, which literally laid the bedrock for the entire mobile world we use today. Moving on to Section 2, cellular networks and towers.
The real game changer here was something called the cellular concept. Instead of just using one giant antenna to try and cover an entire city, engineers had this brilliant idea. Let's divide a region into small, manageable areas, or cells. Every single cell gets its own base station or mobile tower. And the sheer genius of this is, as you move, say you're cruising down the highway chatting on the phone, your connection seamlessly hands off from one tower to the next. This invisible relay race is actually called a handover, and it's the exact reason your call doesn't just suddenly drop when you're moving at highway speeds.
So what's actually going on inside these towers? Well, a tower is way more than just a metal pole. If we look at its anatomy, at the very top you've got the antennas. You can think of these as the eyes and mouth of the tower. They receive your phone's signals and broadcast data right back. But the actual brains, those are housed in the cabinet down below. You've got radio units converting digital information into radio signals, and baseband units acting as the main processor, handling error correction, timing, all that routing stuff. Then power amplifiers give the signal the muscle it needs to travel long distances. And of course, there are massive backup batteries to keep the whole shebang running, even if the city's power grid completely goes down.
Now let's jump to Section 3, SIM cards secret checking. Now what's really interesting about this next part is the incredible level of security happening totally behind the scenes. When you initiate a call, your phone first scans for the strongest tower and attempts a digital handshake. It's basically saying, hey, I need network access. But the network doesn't just let anyone waltz in. It demands to know exactly who you are. This is where your SIM card steps up. It's not just a tiny piece of plastic. It holds your unique identity and secret authentication keys. Instead of sending an open password through the air where anyone could just grab it, the network sends a super complex cryptographic puzzle, a challenge. Your SIM uses its secret key to solve it, sends the response back, and boom. Once you're verified, your phone quickly translates your physical voice into tiny digital packets, modulating them right onto those radio waves. Okay, so once your voice is turned into digital data, it flies over to the tower, which decodes it and sends it straight into the core network. Imagine the core network as the ultimate lightning-fast directory. In a literal fraction of a second, it figures out exactly which operator your friend is using, what city they're in, and precisely which tower they are currently connected to. It then commands that specific tower to send out an incoming alert, and magically, your friend's phone starts ringing. Wild, right?
Which brings us to Section 4, signals and call drops. And this brilliantly illustrates how it all comes down to a really delicate balancing act of radio waves. Mobile towers, they don't send sound. They send invisible electromagnetic radio waves. But here's the thing, not all waves are created equal. Low-frequency signals are absolutely fantastic at traveling long distances and penetrating thick concrete walls, but they kind of max out on data capacity. On the flip side, high-frequency signals, like the ones we use in 5G, can carry massive amounts of data at blistering speeds. The catch? They have a much shorter range and get blocked super easily by buildings, trees, you name it.
So when a call drops, it's honestly rarely just quote-unquote bad network. As you move farther away from a tower or step behind a thick wall, your signal weakens. Those digital voice packets we talked about earlier, they start getting corrupted, delayed, or just straight up lost in the air. Your phone and the network frantically try to run error corrections to fix that missing data. But when too many packets are lost, the audio turns robotic, you get those awkward pockets of silence, and eventually the system just throws its hands up and the call completely drops.
But hey, what about when you have full bars? You're at a crowded stadium or a massive concert. Your phone shows absolutely perfect signal strength, but your internet is painfully slow and your texts just won't go through. Why is that? Well, it's because there is a huge difference between signal strength and network capacity. Signal strength just means the tower is close and the signal is loud. But every single tower has a hard limit on how many users and how much data it can process all at once. So when thousands of people are all trying to upload their concert videos at the exact same time, the tower simply gets overloaded.
To actually manage this bottleneck, networks use different physical footprints for their towers. You've got macro towers, which are those giants you see along highways, giving you broad coverage over huge rural distances. In dense cities, you'll see rooftop sites slapped on top of tall buildings to navigate the whole urban jungle. But for extreme high capacity and very small crowded areas like malls or airports, which is absolutely crucial for 4G and 5G networks, by the way, providers rely heavily on deploying a ton of small cells.
All right, our final section, Section 5, the web of networks and fibers.
Let's move to and see how this all builds up, because the rapid evolution here is just stunning. We started with 1G, which could only handle simple analog voice. Then 2G digitized our voices and gave us SMS. 3G put practical internet right into our pockets. 4G gave us high-speed streaming and VoLTE, basically turning voice itself into pure data packets. And now 5G is delivering ultra-fast speeds and incredibly low latency, moving way beyond just phones to connect smart cars, IoT devices, automated factories, and even entire smart cities.
But here is perhaps the most awe-inspiring part about wireless technology. Once your invisible wireless signal hits that local mobile tower, it almost immediately goes right onto a physical wire. Yep, towers rely on a massive backbone of thousands of miles of fiber optic cables buried deep underground. Your voice travels as literal pulses of light through these cables at mind-bending speeds to reach the core network. Sure, in extremely remote areas, they might use microwave dishes to beam data from tower to tower. But the vast majority of our wireless world, it's actually held together by an immense, highly physical web of glass fibers.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. The mobile network is essentially the invisible nervous system of modern civilization. A mobile tower isn't just a hunk of metal or some solitary pole. It's a critical node in an incredibly complex, lightning-fast global brain that connects billions of people every single second of the day.
It really changes how you look at those little bars at the top of your screen, doesn't it? They aren't just tiny lines. They represent decades of engineering, unbelievably complex mathematics, and just brilliant human innovation. So I leave you with this final thought. What do you think about this incredibly intelligent network hidden right behind the device in your pocket? Next time you say hello and someone answers instantly from halfway across the globe, just remember the magical, highly structured journey those data packets just took. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I really hope this explainer helped demystify the incredible world right at your fingertips. Catch you next time.